Hello, welcome fellow Ambazonians. I've just updated the software of this eCamp, which is a software we use to go on live. And I don't know what is happening now. It looks like I was trying to review it, but it has gone live. So let me double check on my YouTube if that is the case or not. So am I actually live? I'm not even sure. Let's see. Am I actually live? It looks like I'm live because I can see somebody sending me some messages. Okay, then we will just go straight to our presentation. For those who are joining me on my YouTube channel across the globe, you're all welcome, fellow Amazonians. Today, as you know, is the 17th in Ground Zero in Boya and in Bamenda of this month of April 2023. And it's already midnight here in Hong Kong. So we are just crossing into the 18 here, but I'll leave the date to reflect our people in Ground Zero. You're all welcome to this particular review of the state of our liberation war. It's a very important presentation. I'm also going to allow my WhatsApp line. So if you are watching me live and you want to contribute, especially those in Ground Zero and those in the diaspora as well, you can call me on my WhatsApp number, which is in front of your screen there. And you give your comment, a question about the presentation and the state of our liberation struggle, and I'm going to answer you. So today we are going to have an in-depth review of the state of our liberation struggle to assess and know exactly where we are and where we are going to, so that our people can have a sense of direction and also to be able to measure and take stock. This is a very important exercise, and I am glad that I am at liberty to be able to do this. You know, when I was in the Ambazonian Governing Council, I have to stay focused on the mission and what the organization is doing, and that restraint also restricts me on what I can do and what I can say. So now, with me, my own organization now, the African People's Rights Advocacy organization, which is the mother, the registered one, and the chapter for Ambazonia is the Ambazonian People's Right Advocacy Platform, which I am the president. So I can now be at liberty to push the agenda of this organization. I'll bring up the manifesto and other things for our people to see. And it's very important that you know exactly what I'm doing, because I'm doing it for you, I'm doing it for our country. So this is not the type of constituted organization like the AGOVC or the IG, where people come in, they want to constitute themselves as a representative of various segments of our country, and they have to constitute themselves in that manner. This is not that type. This is a non-communal organization, an advocative platform where I advocate for something. So it's not something people come and join to to be elected in certain positions or not. It's just something I can advocate. It's like what Agbobala is having. You know, you have an NGO that does human rights stuff like that. So this is an advocative platform. So, fellow Ambazonians, I'm going to take you right into this this presentation. My air condition is bad, so it will be repaired soon. So don't mind the heat. If I feel hot, just take it the way it is. So we are going to go deep into this our liberation struggle, and it's going to be very very important. If not the most important presentation I've made, this one is going to be very very important for you people to know. Now, I have been with the Ambazonian Governing Council for a long time, and with all the various organizations, I've worked with all the organizations, which is the right thing to do. You have to be flexible to work with everybody for our struggle. And I think I should change the background. Somebody's asking me to change the background. I'll change the background from the studio to this. Okay. It's much better. with technology, you can actually be in your room and you appear in London. So, fellow Amazonians, fellow comrade, I give you revolutionary greetings today. And I want to give you a review of the state of our liberation war. Something I believe I am the only person rightfully placed to give you now as an independent advocate for our independence. I can give it to you in a way that you can only receive it from me. So, first, I want to acknowledge my resignation from the positions I held within the Ambazonian Governing Council. I have had a wonderful time in that organization. I've worked with wonderful people, with Lucas Asu and Pascal Kiki, and a lot of good people within that organization. We have worked so hard for our country, and we have become very good friends, and we are like family. And it's regrettable that I had to leave there. And our people have to know that it is nothing personal. We have gone through a lot like a family. The egg of sea is like a family, we are very close. We have come to be very close, know each other family, know each other's struggles, share each other's pain and joy as we walk in this struggle for Ambazonia that have brought us from across the globe to fight for something that is bigger than ourselves. We take our obligations and our responsibility to our country and to you very, very seriously. But there is one thing you have to know, that our friendship does not override our patriotism. Our friendship is not supposed to undermine the national interest, so that I say that this is my friend and so he can do something that jeopardize national security, and then I just stay quiet. And I believe all of us, we do that way in the egg of sea, which is very nice thing for us to do. So, but nevertheless, I have resigned for very valid reason. And sometimes some people don't understand what is going on due to the nature of our struggle, and they are confused. My resignation is a very big deal because I am the role I play for our country. That's why you saw it in the press. It's a very big deal. It's an international event, so it's a very big deal. Yeah. So, so nevertheless, it has happened, and I'll continue to do like I said. I'll continue to work with everybody and engage with everybody who wants to work with me. It's a two-way stuff. I'll continue to do that, and I'll continue to maintain my friendship with everybody who is there, despite the irritations that this current spokesman gave, and I was forced to respond. I think that should be done. We should get that one out of the way, and I wish him good luck. He's a fine gentleman, and I hope that he focus on his what he's doing, and that will be very good for our country. The truth of the matter is, La République du Cameroon is after us, all of us, Lucas Asu as well, Dr. Chuayaba, and all of us, and it will be very stupid for us to be fighting each other. Very, very stupid. But I'm going to give you today big, big, big insight in what has happened in our struggle. And the reason is because you deserve to know. You deserve to know. And before I get to that, this is what I want to say to you. There are two choices. I'm not doing this thing because of any other irritations or any other thing. I'm doing it because I want to do it. I believe it's the right thing to do it. I believe our people deserve to have a debriefing of what is going on, and about the struggle, about the various arguments that have been out there. You deserve to know what is going on. It's your right to know. How we account to you shows how we respect you and how we feel you are entitled. If Pobia ignores his people, it's because he does not care about them. He does not think he's responsible to them. You respond, you report back to somebody that you work for, somebody that you truly are standing for their interest. That's why we Ambazonians, those of us who are always coming to brief you, to tell you things, is because we feel that we are working for your interest. And every group should feel that way. We have come out and tell you that there was a pre-talks going on. We have given you short briefing, but I don't think that we have given you the things that you needed to know. those are things that are not supposed to be very secretive. There are things you need to know. There are things that our public needs to know. When you see the negotiation going on in Tigray, the population are aware, the whole world are aware. We are aware what is going on. When they have an impasse, we are aware. When they have a breakthrough, we are aware. The people who are engaged there, we see them on TV. Why should Ambazonia be any different? If there should be any difference, our people should know. There was a secrecy around the Canadian pre-talks because it was necessary to create an atmosphere where that Canada process could go on because of Cameroon internal problems and also because of the nature of Ambazonia internal problems. It was not supposed to be something that was supposed to be exploited politically. So for the purpose of creating that environment for that pre-talks to happen properly, it was kept secret because it is pre-talks, it is not negotiation. Negotiation, pre-talks is actually the negotiation, it starts from pre-talks, but the actual negotiations that is really binding are the negotiation within a framework which both sides have committed. So those ones people needs to know, that's why it has been announced. But after the talks have been announced, then our people have the right to know some things that are supposed to be public about what happened during the pre-talks. Today, we have the opportunity to go back in our history and study what was happening in Enugu, who was saying what was saying what in our parliament, and we really lack information. We have some information, but we lack a lot of information, and we should improve on that so that the future generation of Ambazonia will have a lot of information about what was happening at this particular time in moment in our history. And sometimes these things are very, very controversial because our people have never tested democracy and they don't know how to handle this type of thing. And with the primitive nature we have been forced to live in due to Cameroon occupation and subjugation and due to slavery, sometimes we think that people who come and tell public issue like that, they are betraying somebody or exposing somebody. Or, no, not necessarily. You deserve to know. You deserve it. So I'm going to tell you what you need to know about the pre-talks, and I'm also going to account to you about what is happening. And this is the reason why. I'll give you an example. If you have engaged in some type of relationship or exposure of some come in contact with the blood of somebody you expect have HIV/AIDS, wouldn't you want to know whether you are positive or negative? For somebody, you would think that hiding from knowing the reality is good for you, just to live in obscurity and deceive yourself that you don't have any AIDS or HIV or things like that and you'll be happy. That would be very stupid. But for some people, they will deceive themselves and live that way. But the right thing to do is go and check up yourself and check your status. If you feel that you have been exposed in one way or the other to possible infection, the right thing to do is know your status. The earlier you know your status, the better is it for you. The second example I want to give you people why I have to make this analysis is you are in the bus and the bus have lost its brake. The driver will have to do some maneuvers to try to stop the car or slow down the car. There are a lot of things to do, a lot of techniques a driver can do to try to stop the car. Sometimes you put high gear, low gear, and you try to find spots that you can reduce the speed. There are two things you can do. That driver can inform the passengers that we have a brake failure and then let everybody put on their seatbelt and prepare themselves for a bumpy ride or probably hitting something to stop the vehicle. Or the driver can just say, let me play music and let everybody be dancing behind and enjoying a good music, feeling that the vehicle is just running so hard, so fast. And eventually they hit a block, boom. And nobody is prepared. Children are flying everywhere and people die. So what would be the right decision? What would be the right thing to do? Is for the driver to inform everybody that there is a car brake, stop the music, and let everybody take stock of what is happening around them and what can happen and be ready. That can save life that can even avert a lot of things. So this is why I have to tell you where we are in our liberation movement. And I believe all the leaders in our count on our struggle are unable to do so because they are always worried about what people will say, what the enemy will say, and also what eternal spoilers will do with that information. They will use it to blackmail you, to say a lot of things. But our people are so worthy that the leaders should be able to take that fire for them and do the right thing to inform them what is happening, what is the state of our liberation struggle. So I've come out there and inform our Ambazonian people that this struggle have been set back about 7 years. For a lot of people, they feel like it is a very big blow to their heart, especially with the credibility that I have as somebody who have been out there gathering information, working with all the groups, knowing everything that is going on within our struggle. The most I wanna FBI. So for a lot of people, it was a big blow in their heart because they had so much hope. They were so expecting that things can happen tomorrow. All out of a sudden, to hear that. My point, my objective is not to discourage you. My objective is to make you know the truth. And people who can really work for you are people who are going to tell you the truth. I remember when you look at the beginning of this struggle, Dr. Choayaba told people that this thing is not a walk in the park. It's not something that is going to take 5 years, 10 years. And then look at Ayoktabi, he told people that the UN is going to come and help you within when we go to the street. Bo Herbert said the same thing. The truth of the matter is they were very popular because they said the things that people want to hear. But at the end, it leads to disaster. So better know the truth and then know how you can take measures to make things happen faster. I believe we can win. I believe we can change things. Nothing is always certain. Things can change. So I will take you now to see the danger and the position we are in our liberation struggle. And then before that, I will take you now into what has happened that made me to resign and what I thought or what I wish my resignation would accomplish for our people and our struggle. It's very important that we go through this process. So during the time I'm having this conversation, please feel free if you want to call. I've seen somebody is texting me. Feel free if you want to call. You can call, I'm going to answer because it's going to be a very free flow. So I have told our people I have done a lot for our country. The reason why I work so hard for this struggle is because the enemy does not sleep. We have a vicious enemy with their military attaché Kunyam titles who does not sleep, who is vicious, who is vocal. These guys are animal. And for us to have any chance to defeat them, you must be as equally vicious as them. Otherwise, you have no chance. No chance at all. That's why I have sleepless night. I go at it. Everything that they throw on the liberation struggle, I counter it, I research it, I make sure we push back. That is the only way we can win. If you are lazy, there is no way we can win this stuff. So that is the reason why we fight. You fight based on how your enemy is fighting. So it's a street fight. So we have to go down to that level. And before I play this video, I've done a lot. When I introduced Pidgin for this our struggle as our language, and I campaign for Pidgin language, I really believe that. That is my belief, and that is what I will continue to push. That in Ambazonia we should standardize Pidgin English and use it as our first language. It's very important. It will help us to develop faster in technology and also in science. I believe so, and have a much better workforce. And it has helped us because I've introduced this Pidgin for our people who are on the ground to express themselves and our soldiers, most of them who cannot speak this so-called good English. And they have gained confidence, they have been able to speak out their mind, express their mind, and a lot of people are very encouraged to do so. Most of the generals on Ground Zero would have never said anything if we didn't put it in the mainstream. So I have empowered our people by using the people's language, which I continue to use. But I've learned also that I have a lot of international community and researchers and diplomatic people who listen and take what I say very seriously because it is the most credible, it is mostly reflected with what is happening on the ground. So I always try to balance it. So please permit me if I use English for that purpose only. But I would prefer to use my first language, which is Pidgin English. So let us go straight to what happened. This struggle should have ended in 2020, in October 2020. And I'll take you through a series of videos to explain to you what was happening, and so that we can know where we are before I take you to where we are and show our people how we can move forward. There are only one way we can attain independence, only one possible way, not two. We cannot attain independence by killing all Cameroon military men, because we cannot do that. We are not capable to do that. Even if we want to do that, we cannot. Cameroon cannot definitely kill every single Ambazonian. Even if they try, they will fail. Even the Rwanda genocide, they didn't succeed to complete the genocide. So we cannot think that we can just win Cameroon militarily. We must have a diverse approach. And the approach, my ideology to defeat Cameroon is through the Haiti solution. It's also a combination. It's not just relying on the Haiti solution. Remember, the Haiti also had a militia, a very good, effective guerrilla fighter. I've done those research and I've shared them with you. So that is my belief that is how we can win La Republic, using the Haiti solution. And then it is what it's going to do is going to cause the international community to see, not just like Dr. Cho's Ayaba's ideology, that you make the territory ungovernable. You increase the cost of occupation so much that La Republique pays more in what than what they receive from our territory, which we have succeeded so far. There have been some stalemate there. There have been some rollback because of the IGs of Sako and Chris Anu. But I think that we are now making a lot of progress in that side. The ideology, I believe, is if we carry on with the Haiti solution, complete economic disaster for La République du Cameroon, both at home and away. And it is going to put the international community, which I believe is the only means we have to have our independence, through the international community. The international community, well, we have a caller. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello, Kapo.
Yes.
Yes, how are you?
I'm good. I don't have an extended speaker, but you are live online. I can see everybody can hear you. So go ahead.
Thank you very much, Kapo. I just wanted to give my contribution. Sorry for disturbing you for what you were saying about the Haiti solution and the other things that you are trying to expatiate on how we can win La Republic, because as you are saying, we cannot kill all La Republic military and we cannot kill all Amazonians. But one of the things I want to talk about is your resignation. I want to ask Ambazonians, let them think and think well. You have a top defense official in the ATF. That means if in the ATF they are going to talk at our choice, the president of the ACOFC, Benedict Kwa is like a defense minister of the ACOFC, and Sheikh Kavi is like let's just say the deputy defense minister. And then you are like the main command and control official of the ATF. And let us say you are like in Cameroon, we are talking about you in Cameroon, you are like this man, that chief of army staff. And then you get to one day and you resign. And Ambazonians are not asking themselves, how is it possible that a top military official of the ATF, of the ACOFC, can go away? Can imagine that even when at one point we are being told that the former prime minister Philemon Jean wanted to resign as prime minister, and Paul Biya said no. The present prime minister, we are also told rumors that he wanted to resign, and Paul Biya said no. Nyan Jifenji wanted to resign anytime, and he said no. And then the ATF leaves you to go. And people are not asking the ATF what would prompt a top military official who was a command and control person anti-kidnapping. So that means the ADF mission, what the ADF was doing on the ground, you are the main focal point, you are the man who was doing the thing, and you just go away like that. And then some people are beginning to think that you are going to join La Republic, you are like this. Can people not really ask Dr. Acho or the ADF to say, or the AGOC, tell us what really went wrong because Kapodane can go, because we who are in the ground, I'm talking from ground zero, we who are on the ground, every day we'll get up at 5 o'clock to listen to your podcast. We who are on the ground, every day we'll look onto you. Even the soldiers, that's some of the soldiers that we have met on the ground, they look onto you. And today, like this, we are talking about the soldiers are in disarray with what has happened. They don't understand anything. And instead of the ADF or the Cameroon or the Ambazones trying to ask the AGOC, the ADF, tell us what happened. Get an internal audit or an inquiry to show why made Cabo Dane to go. They are bringing conspiracy of how you are being motivated by some other thing or whatever thing. What I would like to tell Ambazonians from today, we need to wake up. It's as if we have been cursed. We need to get up and begin to hold our leaders accountable, and organizations that we think that are going to fight for independence accountable. Because somebody like you, do Ambazonians think that you can go back to a Republic and the Republic will take you? Do they know how much pain you
Exactly.
have caused Republic?
Exactly.
Do they know how many soldiers that you have killed? You have commanded boys to kill?
I tell you.
We are on the negotiation table in Canada, and you sat before the Canadians and the international community and negotiated on behalf of the Amazonians. It's happening more than then you have to leave the organization. And people just think that you just want to blackmail the AGOC. You want us to do, my brother. What I only tell you is that we are behind you. This is not propaganda. This is not because I want to say that this to please you. I am saying this because I know the pains of our people, the pains that we are feeling. When we go to Yaoundé, they will know what is happening. We are behind you. Leave them to do what they are doing. All those who are talking evil against you, they don't even know. I know that like what you said about Sako, when they wanted to stone you, that Sako was this, and they were not believing now.
Yes.
It will not up to 1 year. They will see reason to what you did. I know that if there is somebody who can negotiate for Ambazonia to have what they want, there are two people. It's Ayabacho Lucas and Capo Daniel. Remove these people from this struggle. My brothers, thank you very much. Let me not take your time all. You have no much to give as education to our people. Thank you very much.
Welcome. Thank you very much, comrade. God bless you. God bless you.
Okay.
So thanks very much. That is a caller from the number from Ground Zero, and my reaction to the comment is there are some questions he asked that are very pertinent and deep, which my presentation will answer. But I will say this to what he said, what he has said. Yeah, it's very sad that our people do not put up their thinking cap. They should always take their thinking cap very seriously. I've always preached, and even Lucas Asu, my friend, I've always preached about the need for us to be critical thinker, and we have empower our people to be able to ask questions and not just to turn their back from both sides. My whole mission to resign, which was due to frustration within the system of the AGOC of what was happening. I was thinking that when I resign, it's going to cause them to really think about why I resigned, because it was very important. They know why I resigned. And the reaction from the new spokesman, he turned out to try to blackmail and say that I was being motivated from outside when he knows that is just a lie, was very, very disheartening to me. And I was very disappointed. And Dr. Cho, personally, his reaction was also very disappointing, because he came and from his expression, he was thinking that I wanted him to come and beg me. So that is really strange. If you have somebody that you have trusted to lead the organization that we have both worked so hard to build in a level that I have built, why would you think that what I'm doing will be driven because I want you to come and beg me? No. The differences we have are real, and I'm going to tell you people in later on about those things. And we have to take it very seriously. I take the things I do very seriously. I know our people have lived in area, so we have been stripped up of everything so much that every position people hold, they want to hold that position so much that they cannot even live without it. So people would not even think that it's possible for me to resign. But I'm a man of principle. I have principles. When I don't see respect, where I don't see productivity, tangible productivity towards the goal, when I see things that are wrong, I can't stay there. I can't. I have to come out. And I was hoping that they will realize the reality, but I think they are doubling down on it. And you can't control how people react. You can't control how people behave, but you can at least try and make sure that as we progress, I can say in my conscience that I've done everything to save my country. And yes, definitely, I think I'm the most from all what we are going through. I think I'm the most through this struggle. I've become very, very self-aware about the technicality of our struggle and the defense. I've been one of the most articulate about our struggle, and I believe I am in the most competent person to be in a negotiation table to help our people. Those who were there with us in Canada can testify about that. But that is a story for another day. I believe that I will knock my head for stone. I will carry ring my bear. So, but let's go to the video, and people can always call and interrupt because this is a free flow. It's not something I've scripted. The script I've scripted here is just a single page, just some guidelines so that I don't forget something. It's very human. So I'll play this video clip. I've told you people the need why you should know the things I have to tell you. The two examples I've used is like somebody who is suspecting that he might have contaminated himself, maybe through his sexual intercourse or through coming in contact with blood, and you suspect that you might have Njapa or AIDS or SIDA. It is wise thing for you to know your status. If you know early, you can have treatment and you save your life or live even longer than you were supposed to live. But if you decide to hide away from the truth, you don't want to know the truth, it's not convenient, the inconvenient truth, you end up regretting because by the time you know that status, it is too late for you to save your life. Another example I've given, if you're in the plane, the pilot discovered that the plane is going to crash or the plane can crash. Nothing is ever certain. He will tell everybody in the plane to get ready. You put on your seat, your belt, you brace yourself. That way he will have enough time to try to maneuver. If you crash, he will save life. If he doesn't crash, then everybody can relax again. So that is why I put out the warning that this struggle have been set back 7 years backward. This is not the first time I've made this warning. When Field Marshal came into Lebialem and started killing the forces of driving away the forces of ADF and killing the forces of the Tigers of Ambazonia, I said the same thing, that this struggle have gone backward, and if we are not careful, we will lose it. I've said that several times, and I've said it this time, and it's very important. So I will bring some videos and I'll show you where this struggle was supposed to end, and I saved the struggle. The first time this struggle was supposed to end, after Cameroon had tried everything to cover up what was happening, to use people that they pay to go abroad to deceive the international community, the United Nations stepped in. The Secretary General of the United Nations, these are things that you people have not been told, but you have just had glimpses, but I think you deserve to know. If we think that you are important, then you deserve to have this information. The United Nations stepped into this struggle in 2019, 2020. They engaged directly with the leadership of Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba because he was seen as the most credible person who was leading the diplomatic engagement and the fighting on the ground. He was engaged with the United Nations on behalf of Ambazonia. The Francois, the former head of the UN in West Africa, was in charge of those negotiations. He also was involved with the Secretary of State of the Ambazonian Governing Council, Mr. Larry Ayong. Those are the people who were engaged. They had several face-to-face meetings about how the United Nations can help in this war that was going on. And they were also engaging, the United Nations was engaging with La Republique and Ambazonia directly about this struggle. And we were about to have a big victory where we would be able to have a resolution of this war in a peaceful manner or through negotiation, but not through the battlefield. And this thing happened. The attack that took place in Kumba, in Fiango, in the international school there, they call it, is it Mother Francisca Bilingual School. That attack could kill the struggle. Because of that attack, La République du Cameroon withdrew and terminated the engagement of the United Nations to try to bring us to the negotiation table with La République du Cameroon. And it was my job, my advocacy when I stepped in that helped Ambazonia to evade the end of the struggle. That particular attack in Kumba was classified by the United Nations as gross human rights violations that need accountability. That means somebody has to be held accountable for that crime. It was an international event, a big human rights violation that was supposed to be used by La République du Cameroon to end this struggle once and for all. And oh God, they did use it very well. If it was not me stepping in, it was not the PhD people that you have who step in. It wasn't the Fontem Niba who is crying that he is supposed to be in negotiation. It wasn't the Harmony Bogba who is the head of the Ambazonian Bar Association. It wasn't Honorable Weber. It wasn't any other person. It was me who stepped in and saved the day for Ambazonia. I'll take you back to that particular incident. It's important that you know how an incident can kill a struggle and what the international community thinks about it and how they operate, because the key of our independence lies with the international system. Everything we stand on is based on the international rule-based system in the United Nations. So I'll take you back to that incident in Kumba, in Fiango, which happened on the 24th of October 2020 in Mother Francisca Bilingual School. So let's go there with this video and let me show you what happened. And this is going to help us in many levels because similar things could have happened. It was after the campaign, not this one. We had a campaign for this one. It was also effective, but you still had the Ekondo Titi attack in the school that was carried out by the forces of Tenkobo. So let me go to this particular one. I'll walk you with you, and if somebody wants to call, please don't hesitate. You can feel free to call. So let's go to this one. I know it's very important to follow this presentation. It's very, very important. So take your time, listen to it. It's going to be a long, I think 1 hour, 20-minute presentation.
Marginalization.
Hold on. Okay, so I want to take you people to the day the Ambazonian Liberation War was supposed to end. The United Nations, Cameroon was campaigning, and all the international, because this was an international event, the Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, all credible international organizations came to the same conclusion after this incident and were calling for Ambazonian. They intended to classify the Ambazonian struggle for independence as an extremist struggle. And that would have meant that the whole international community could have come in and helped Cameroon to crush this struggle, and they would not listen to us. Because remember, the conduct of Ambazonian fighters, or the perceived conduct of Ambazonian fighters by the international communities, determine the type of receptions they have for our advocacy. Because if we go around killing people, doing this type of bad things, they'll look us like, when we go to talk to them, like, these are the guys who are doing this type of things. We don't want to listen to this type of people. So listen to this particular presentation carefully, and I will show you what happened. Through this, we are going to educate our people and ourselves about what happened. Then after this, I'm going to take you to where we are, and then I'll conclude with where we will go. So let's watch this video, and I'll be explaining through the video. So, like I thought, this is that in Kumba, where a school.
Are they in school? They came to school. There are people in school.
So now for Kumba, where this incident happened, the Fiango, where so this is a very, very sad event in this struggle, and it will go down in history and recorded in history. The attack in Kumba, where gunmen, unidentified gunmen, came to Kumba with machetes and guns and killed 8 students in cold blood and a teacher. Just butcher them, kill them. And I investigated this particular thing. I spoke to some of the parents, and one of the gate man, they came in bike. They came to a gate man there, one store man, and then they drove to that school. They asked for directions and stuff like that. So we from my investigation, La Republique is behind this thing anyway. Whether it was through Ambazonians or through their own people, La Republique was behind. From the conclusion of my investigation, which concluded that the agents of La Republique use people who have been compromised. I use my words carefully. People who have been compromised by the CDC deal. People who have been compromised by the CDC deal to launch this attack against this school. Misguided these people. Used them to attack this school and commit this atrocity with the hope that it is going to be used diplomatically to sabotage the international engagement that was going on for Ambazonia. And it did happen. Because after this attack, Cameroon pulled out of talks with the United Nations that was geared towards bringing in a negotiated solution. Cameroon do not want to negotiate. Paul Biya have no intention to negotiate. Not yesterday, not today, and forever. The only reason Cameroon had engaged in any negotiation so far is because they have been forced to do so, including the Grand National Dialogue that they had. It wasn't by choice. It wasn't because Paul Biya is good or have come to his senses. It's because of pressure from the international community. And this time, this attack happened in Kumba. So I'll go with you through this attack so that you will remember this attack, because I have never forgotten this attack. And everybody who is a human being still remember this attack. This is for the purpose to help you understand what we did to serve this liberation struggle and the type of things that can destroy this liberation struggle. Listen to some of this our mami them explain what happened. So I don't reduce that audio because of
she was helpless and she was shouting, "Mom, please help me." And I told him, it is only your God that can save you now. I'm just your mother, but it is only God that can save you, because it is God that gave you to me. And right now, like this, I don't think even my children can ever be educated again.
So now the picking and that way they key them for the school. Now the mommy and that for the school where they cry, they talk about the picking them. And I want me
shouting.
With I say each of these picking the way they die, and every time a child die, those children are coming from families and communities that have scars that stays forever. The families will never move past it. And when it is something like this, that Ambazonia is being suspected of having committing this crime, or Cameroon want to push it to the international community like this, they play it over and over in video, and you may not know what is happening in those communities. And these are some of the reasons how La Republique have, to some limited extent, succeeded to kill the enthusiasm of our people for our struggle for the most part. So it's important that we know how this thing works, so that our people can understand. Sometime when I come, I'm hitting my head day and night. advising soldiers, telling them to do the right thing, and also our people on how to do the right thing. So let's listen.
They were shooting with their local guns. People were crying, and the worst part was when they came on top of this building. I heard most shouting when they had climbed here, and they started shooting here. By then, I never knew that they were killing people here. So after they are done, they ran away. Before.
So those were the people explaining how it happened, how they came. They went up to the class where they killed that woman in the upstairs, and it was the worst place. That's where most of the killing took part. And one girl actually jumped from the window, and from now till now she cannot walk. So the scars are still there. People still remember this type of thing, and anything that associated with this thing is just nobody can hear you. And before let's continue, I'll get you to the conclusion. But you can see the vehicle of the International Red Cross. They were there. They investigated. Cameroon brought in everybody that could investigate. But it was the United Nations also who took. They also did an investigation, which I was privileged to know, giving some tips of what the United Nations thinks about it. And you can even pick some of their thinking in the publication that they made. So it was an international incident. The international community investigated what was happening there, and they come to a certain conclusion that affected and almost killed our struggle. So you could see the vehicle of the International Red Cross that came to the scene.
Of the 8 severely injured, there is a young girl there. We hear jumped from a story building and asked whether they call a pelvic dislocation or something dislocation. She cannot move.
My first son was killed among the students who were shot. It's my first son, 11 years old. 11 years, 6 months from one. We're just in the house. My wife, she has been operated twice, and she just now operated. It's almost 1 month, some weeks. She has been operated twice. I was just struggling to do some laundry in the house. So a little girl came and she was shouting, saying, "Pastor, Pastor, they have shot your son. Victory is dead." My wife heard it, she cried, and they took me. I went to the school, I saw him dead. He was among the 3 who died instantly. And for what we heard was that 3 others were taken, but 2 died on the way. Just now we are just hearing that the other one is also dead.
Okay. So what your name, sir?
I am Pastor Tanangwa Boniface Ngamani.
Thank you.
So this was the pastor that Reverend Fonky, you remember Reverend Fonky, the guy who works for Cameroon and tried to engineer Cameroon to in his own corny way to take this thing. They went to the pastor's house. The wife went there to the pastor's wife. It was recorded and played on CRTV again and again. And these stories break the heart of a lot of people. You know, these communities, those neighborhoods. Do you think if it is placed, the blame is placed on Ambazonia, people in those neighborhoods will stand for the struggle? No. And this investigation report, the details are submitted to the United Nations, members of the United Nations, to who are trying to help us. Do you think after they watch this thing and then they blame it on us, Ambazonian struggle, do you think anybody will listen to whatever grievances we have, any legal argument, whatever? No. And it's the same thing with kidnapping. When soldiers, they kidnap, if they kidnap, we know some kidnappings are also done by soldiers. When our soldiers, they make some excesses and they kidnap any child, one or any person, the family and those neighborhoods are damaged. And the enemy take advantage of that. So we should be very, very aware of all these things. This particular attack La Republic was supposed to use it to just bury our struggle. Let us play it and I'll get to you guys how we averted this thing. It's very critical that you know. Else, the same thing will happen eventually. This is one of the mother of the grandmother.
I know that in everything, God has a better plan.
Yes.
He knows we are in the vineyard serving Him. The same young man, he is an instrumentalist in the church. He was the one playing drum for 3 years. It's a big loss indeed.
All this most correct. They didn't go their home before you go where you on. In the way, they don't go to them.
Of the incident, Tute Larry was just recently discharged from hospital.
Let the tango for my life.
One of the one who survived.
The doctor said I will be coming for dressing.
United Nations say that at least 8 children.
So, fellow Ambazonian, those images have been played on CRTV. You cannot count the amount of times. Stories, articles, read. They go inside, use them very, very, very well to use to spoil our struggle. And I stepped in. I did a proper investigation. And I forward my results to those international bodies who were trying to paint this thing absolutely on Ambazonia. And the boys who carried out this attack, from my investigation that I carried out, were people, as I said, who were influenced by Cameroon agents who had compromised the CDC. I put it in this way so that our people should know what I'm talking about, because it's a very complicated issue. When this thing happened, even the leadership, because I'm now out of the AGOVC, I can tell you this thing because you need to know. The leadership of the ADF, which is the Defense Department, when I brought this thing to them and said that we need to go out there and take responsibility, because even when you don't take responsibility will be put on you, because you are advocating against school boycott. At that time, there was no policy of distinguishing between the various school boycotts. I was advocating community school to allow those private schools and mission schools to come into the community school fold for a long time. That time it wasn't adopted by any organization here. So I brought it to the defense group. The defense basically said that no, don't touch it, Capo Daniel. This thing can incriminate people and stuff like that. So people they run away from this thing. And then Yerima of the IG Care, his own was to just say Nala Republic Duam, and then she don't quiet. They just run. They didn't take responsibility to try to actually do anything about it, to investigate or to prove or actually substantiate or even defend the thing that was going on. But I was able to prove to our people and the international community that two things: by engaging with them, responding to the international community and the NGOs who also talked to me to find out what was going on, what I think, and to see what the responsibility we are taking. By engaging with them, I proved to them that we are responsible people and that we understand that this was a war crime that amounts to serious human rights violation, that accountability needs to be taken, and that the people who commit this crime should pay for this crime. They understood that, I understood that, and they understood that it's not something we can support or tolerate, or something we can ask somebody to do in our name. They were very sure because I had that engagement with them. I talked to the people who saw those people, I put the things together, and I showed them that it does not reflect the conduct of Ambazonians who are fighting even to impose the school boycott. Despite that, this is what the United Nations concluded from their own investigation that I'm privileged to know from my friends within the system there. They concluded that this attack is related to the crisis. That is how they call it. We have a caller. Hello.
Yeah, hello, CIC. Good day, sir.
Yeah, good day. You are live and everybody can hear you. You can go out to make your comment or ask your questions, and be very brief and be very fast.
Okay, thank you, CIC. I want to come say, because I follow your program online now, and I see say you don't get evidence for that killing for Kumba, saying that the GOB do up. You didn't say you don't get the evidence, because we get a WhatsApp or we publish the WhatsApp message where it be communicate with commandant for upstation, and with a MTN number where they will be used for test them for money transfer for money mobile money no. Then it show a name. It show when we use the number, we put them for money transfer, for transfer 100 francs. It show now the TSG of Okumba a name for that communication. That number waiting for that communication will commandant for the killing for Kumba. Now it's so a name take and command. So we take no say now he be the command, now he be the giver order. So it also say say now they must do something now for a race way. He don't talk, they don't follow way he talk. See way they don't cause them. May they go take that woman and bring her because scandal come out. That's why they go carry the woman away, get the school can lock him.
Yeah, I don't follow that. I think Eric Tato in particular, if he shared that screenshot. But the thing we be then I say from those screenshots, if you look the way they talk, any man way it be reasonable enough to know how this type of attack, if it cause a damage for Ambazonia, if not the intention where the person be try, people they be try for toxin and the intention that way they be carry out this attack. If you be big complex, your mind fit calculate those type of things. You know, go be those so stupid for do that. It was an edited. It could only be an edited thing that somebody will make. And my brother, let me tell you, when people are doing investigation, and then you go and you create fake evidence, it is actually seen like a sign of guilt. That WhatsApp, the person where is send and where he get that WhatsApp, you get two people. The person where send them the duo with the IUC number, and then you get the commandant where get them. None of them no forever release those chat or those screenshots. It be impossible so they will implicate themselves in things where they will try for actually prove and say Ambazonia, those same people them. So each time we Ambazonia, they will need to know say the world they are not foolish. If you take those type of things and showing people that this is what you are relying on, which is not something that is reliable, which is something if it's a fake thing, it's an edited script, it's Photoshop, then people will actually think that you are likely guilty. But I appreciate your contribution, and let's just follow up with the next thing, unless you want to say something again.
Yeah, I say how would it help for this new platform we don't build them? So how would it help to say who will give own contribution in any way we will fit? What will be the do?
Yeah.
For push a mind.
Now we get. I
didn't hear you. Me are ready. You can take training for the or take training. Then if you like, with the decision, you deploy me, I go down, go meet the other people down, coordinate them, make sure say we'll do what we're supposed to do. Me, I get passport, I ready for travel, I ready for go down and go make Cameroon bleed. In that sense, in that regard, we don't talk and we don't bring up for this new platform.
Okay.
100%.
Okay. Thank you very much, comrade, and thanks. I will continue the show. Okay. Oh my Yamaha you see for 4 bush. Anyway, that was just a joke. Yeah, you contact me behind. Anybody who wants to join me to go and carry out the Haiti solution, contact me behind, and we are going to work out how we can do it. I don't think it will be necessary if somebody is on the ground to come right to Hong Kong to receive training. The type of training that require for this type of mission are things we can do even on phone. I have materials we can do that. So regarding the issue for what he has said, what did he say again? Yeah, that what can we do to join me? Join me to carry on those mission, my Haiti solution. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll continue. The issue you have to know is that this particular incident was supposed to be used to destroy Ambazonia. And when I stepped in, I called Yerima actually, because he was saying that this thing was done by camera. I called Yerima and I told him the need for him to put out a statement. The need for him to defend our people and all those stuff. I called most of the leaders and everybody did not really buy it. But I had the support of Dr. Chuayaba. And these are the things I have to tell you guys. I had his support for this issue. And it also helped me to push through the issue that we should stop the blanket ban of school and approve community schools that will include private schools and mission schools to accommodate studies. We can't just give a blanket ban of school because since the United Nations had concluded that this thing was related to the conflict, the war, there was an implication from my own contact within the system who had told me about their report that they were accusing Ambazonians fighters from doing that. The United Nations, their own investigation, that is where they were leaning. And we are going to hear about one of the very prominent and credible international researcher who was refused access to Cameroon by Paul Biya because they know that he will come there, she will come there, and we have a caller. Let's pick it up.
Hello, Capo Daniel, my brother. Good evening.
Yeah, you are live and you can participate. Be very brief and be very direct.
Yeah, I follow you. Yeah, I follow you live, bro. I follow you live. The point where then I say, wait, but I follow you. You understand? So the only point we get and I just say I should leave ADF because we know say you and Ayabacho be the key main power, be the key. That means you be the key people the way Ambazonia they follow. So many people they follow this struggle, they for back. Why we will never join this struggle now just because say we not get support for arm and bullet. When you go shoot bullet finish at the problem that by the time we will get support for any community, any country we will support, we will live for bullet. Capo Daniel, I'm telling you, you will see this fight. You not go believe say people they for Southern Cameroon away and Bazonia where they fight the fight. But I just say now because of this two where you shoot bullet finish, then you go shoot on back for down. You became wait bullet. So with the big one we want to find some international community way will get direct supply for bullet. Like what our brother just talk. He say he won't go down. Capo Daniel, I'm telling you to get support for international community where you will bullet. Forget about gun. Any man will take gun for Cameroon government. It be easy for take gun with them. For take gun for Cameroon government be easy. The main problem we want and only support.
Okay.
Support.
Okay, your 1 minute is off. Thank you very much, comrade.
Yeah,
I will respond to you online. Okay.
Continue. May God bless you.
Yeah, so to that, I can assure Ambazonians that for 5 years we have been fighting this struggle. We have not had support for a country to provide us weapons. The possibility that we are going to have a country to supply us weapons is just not there. Anybody who come and tell you that is true, that is not true. We have interact with a lot of international partners who companies, multinational companies who have said things across that line, but in my own assessment, this is not something we should rely on. Remember, Sok Foncha of the AMF, he came with those lies that there are some white men who come there to give us bullet and all those things. Those are usually people who are just making up stuff. But I believe we can win this war. Remember the people in Bongasville, they didn't have any country to support them. They were using Odeshi also. They're using Odeshi and then guns. In my Haiti solution that I have proposed to Ambazonia, it is something that will need less bullet. Any man where they can talk say, I want to get 1 million before I'll go fight you, go fight this war. That person, nobody know how to do. If you get courage, you be willing to do what you need to be done. Contact me, I'll show you how to do them even without a bullet. Even without a bullet, we can finish La Republic. We need bullets, we need guns and all those things. We need the projections of all those things. That is why I say what I propose will supplement what other groups are doing. It's not competition, it will supplement them. Because we need groups that can hold territory and do that projection as well. So let's go into the presentation I have for you guys. We continue. So we have the international community that had their investigation that put Ambazonian as the main suspect in this camp, in this attack in Ambazonia, in Kumba, which is a position that I believe that it was instigated by Cameroon intelligence services that use the people that did that attack against this particular school. And it's very, very terrible. It was very damaging. It caused Cameroon to withdraw from the negotiation, the engagement, those contacts. I can't really say it's negotiation because those are the initial stages. Those engagement with the United Nations, and I think the AGOVC had put out information about that. The Cameroon decided to pull out from that negotiation, and the United Nations did the announcement about this particular attack, thereby giving incentive for all international researchers to research and give their own report. And all of the reports, all were conclusive that this attack was about the school boycott. Whether it was being exploited by La République or Ambazonia, I don't know the details about that. But that is, if somebody tell me that they have concluded that this was related to the struggle, then you guess what? Who will likely be the people who wanted the school boycott? People will easily point their finger at us. That is why I was strong push advocate that we should stop the blanket school boycott. Right now, the IG position is a blanket school boycott. All of the IGs, which is a big mistake. The enemy can exploit that. It is the only AGOVC that adopted that position that give the right for all schools. And when we went to Toronto, all the forces there, they also agreed and they adopted those things in the Toronto Declaration with all the Amazonian forces there. So let us now play the video of Aguera. This is a top researcher who was refused entry into Cameroon by Paul Biya because they know that this is somebody who is credible and is going to expose the crimes Cameroon were committing in our territory. But the Human Rights Watch still have their field workers who carry out investigations for them. And this is what she had to say. And remember, this was supposed to set the stage for the UN Secretary General to push for a solution for this war. And it will give you an insight about what the United Nations are thinking and what the international communities are thinking about us. Listen.
Have been killed and 12 others injured. It follows a raid on a school in Cameroon. Well, attackers armed with guns and machetes stormed the school for the attack of the bilingual school in Kumba. But the area has been caught up in violence again between Anglophone separatists and government forces for about 3 years now. The southwest and northwest provinces have become the...
Oh, did you hear what she said? I want to bring it back so that you hear. Her report was not talking about what the Cameroon government was saying. She's talking about what the United Nations said about this incident. Listen, let me go back there.
United Nations say that at least 8 children have been killed and 12...
So you are hearing from where international journalists were reporting about this incident. They were not talking about what the Cameroon government was saying or what the Ambazonians were saying. They said that the United Nations have stated. So this should tell you how significant this particular incident was. So let me forward it and let's continue.
Local government offices and schools to close. On that note, I'm joined by Ilaria Allegrozzi, Senior Central Africa Researcher at Human Rights Watch, to chat a little bit further about the Anglophone crisis in Cameroon. Well, Ilaria, very good morning. Thanks for joining us here bright and early on Weekend Dawn. I mean, just understanding contextually what is happening in Cameroon's Anglophone crisis and even some of the opportunities that, have come about as COVID-19, as also the pandemic has exacerbated some of the issues at hand. Can you contextualize the Anglophone crisis as we speak?
Yes, thank you for having me today. Since 3 years now, the Anglophone regions of Cameroon have been witnessing shocking levels of violence with attacks by both government forces and armed separatists. The crisis in the Anglophone regions started 3 years ago when teachers, lawyers, the population, activists who had long complained about the region's perceived marginalization from...
So I want me gonna follow them very well. Say my show na people they think. So you go in a 1 hour 20-minute show. So if you hear it away Ilaria the talk it give you the perspective of the international community. For the international community, this particular strike, this particular problem started 3 years ago. They know about the historic background, but this is where they come from. This is how they see things. And they talk about the attacks on by both La République and Ambazonian fighters, which they call separatists.
Central government decided to take the streets and protest. But their demands were met with brutality, and the response by government forces was ruthless. Soldiers and police and gendarmes arrested peaceful protesters, arrested their leaders, and since then numerous separatist groups have emerged and have embraced the armed struggle. mentioned that horrific attack which took place yesterday in Kumba, just as an example of a long series of attacks against education in both the Northwest and Southwest. I would say that.
So you hear it is about an attack against education. So the international community see it as part of attack against education as a whole, which Ambazonia, they were really just boxing us in. Because when you say attack against education, they have been trying so hard to classify that Ambazonia education are all tied in our struggle is against education, because we had a blanket ban against all schools, practically. So that is why it's very interesting to see that the CDN had a conference in Toronto where they had all the Ambazonian Defense Forces. They came there, and they had a researcher which have done extensive research on the ground, in Ground Zero, about education, and they presented it to us. That pushed this narrative about a blanket ban in school. The CDN was basically showing us the picture and said that because we have banned schools, schools can no longer go. These are the amount of children that were going. And I was very vigorous, and at one point I walked out of the conference there. I said, this is bullshit. You can't just come and you're telling us that we have banned all schools where Ambazonia had made progress in schools. We had opened community schools. And that was when we had already, the AGOVC had already approved some schools to open. And we end up adopting a resolution about schools that acknowledge that we have made progress in community schools and things like that, so that we cannot be seen as a struggle that is against education. Child education is a crime. We can't stop children from having access to education. And you know, after that, after we push against that that narrative from the CDN and all the defense group that were there, they adopted it. A lot of those people, they don't even know what is going on. You have the representative of the Seven Kata, who is a very nice gentleman from America there. Let me not call his name because some of those people, they want to remain anonymous. And I was receiving intel from the Seven Kata, my intelligence people who are within the system there, sending me messages about him. And he was telling their people that he is a member of CDN, and that the soldiers there, they are looking at him like whatever CDN is doing, they are doing diplomacy for Ambazonia independence for him. And he's a member of CDN. They are the ones doing these things. They are the ones doing that thing. And that type of misrepresentation is what they use to deceive people to follow them, which is wrong. CDN is an NGO, just like Swiss HD. These type of organizations that are involved in humanitarian work and in international diplomacy. Their job will always be aligned with the expectation of the international community, which right now is to fight for peace, is a priority, not justice. And whatever they are doing, their personal opinion, all of them who are there may be Ambazonians who in their heart will vote, if there is a vote for Ambazonia independence. Might not necessarily, they cannot even advocate for Ambazonian independence as an advocacy or to go and represent you to fight for your diplomacy. So we have to know this one very well and know the role every group play. But they are very important organizations, because research organizations like that, NGOs like that, can really help the world to know the humanitarian problem we face there and make sure that the world can help us. But it is us to fight using them, using the opportunities that they create by talking about our issues and giving interest to the international community, or assist even with research work for us to push our agenda. So people who are seeing the CDN as a hope for diplomacy, they are making a big mistake. They cannot even do it, even if they want to do it. So if you are there and somebody is deceiving you that they are a member of CDN and they are a member of defense group, they are just lying you. Probably they are talking to CDN people. So we should always distinguish that. CDN is a neutral organization and they are supposed to be neutral. The international community knows that they are neutral. They can never go and support us to the international community. If they tell you they are supporting us, that's a lie. They can only raise our issue up like any NGO are doing, which is fantastic because they are Ambazonians. They know better what is happening there and will tell the truth rather than people who go there to twist things. But we should always know that they will always follow the line of the international system because that's where they will gain their money. It's going to be a big project for Africa, not just for Ambazonia, the CDN. So anyway, let's focus. Let me not digress. But I wanted to show you how these things are. The international community was framing Ambazonia that we are against education. And this attack was seen as part of an attack against education in Ambazonia. So it's very crucial that we facilitate and allow access for children to have education, not the colonial education that Cameroon governments could provide, but with our own Ambazonia community schools that should include private schools that comply with our instructions and guidelines, and mission school will do the same.
Humanitarian situation in the English-speaking regions is deteriorating day by day. Violence has resulted in multiple population displacement across both regions and outside. Currently, there are 700,000 internally displaced people and over 50,000 refugees in Nigeria. Over 3 million people are in need of humanitarian assistance. Most of the schools across the regions are shut down. The food security situation is precarious. Malnutrition is common, especially among children. And humanitarian workers themselves have been targeted by armed separatists and their premises have been looted.
So here the narrative that was being pushed by the international communities and by the NGOs, that humanitarian workers were being attacked by the separatists. They didn't even mention the Cameroon government restriction because Cameroon government is giving some access to the main UN organization like the World Food Program. That is why it's very important that we allow humanitarian access. We allow them, we monitor them, and the people who came out to say that you should go like Chris Anu, that you should attack the UN and all those things, are going to put this struggle at peril, you know. So let me continue.
Humanitarian aid workers have been killed, kidnapped. So you see that there's also like a very limited humanitarian space to operate, and humanitarian access is restricted. So the situation doesn't look good, and it's set to deteriorate in the next months.
So even if you go to the United Nations, their Office for Resident for Humanitarian Affairs, their annual report, it still continues to talk about the restriction of access, restriction of access from Ambazonian side and stuff like that. That's why I work so hard with all the soldiers to make sure that we grant access to humanitarian workers. I always make sure I contact them, the International Red Cross, the World Food Program, I mean all humanitarian workers there. We work so hard to make sure that they have full access, and our soldiers understand that these are just people who are coming to give food, and that is just what they want to do. And if we have suspicion, reasonable reason to suspect that they might be agents of Cameroon or Cameroon agents may disguise like them, then there are ways we can try to mitigate that without stopping access for humanitarian supplies in Ground Zero. These are very important things.
Spoke about some of the identity politics and even some of the conflict dynamics 3 years later. But when we look at that COVID-19 ceasefire that you alluded to earlier on, I mean, in terms of ending the crisis and finding solutions, what options are on the card for Cameroon, for President Paul Biya as we speak?
So this is very important because this was the best case scenario where La République had the United Nations, had the Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International, all the NGOs to put Ambazonia in the box that they wanted to, and La République wanted to nail them. And listen very carefully about the solution that the Mrs. Alaria will report, which is in line with what the whole international communities are pushing till date, till today. So listen.
Well, President Paul Biya convened a national dialogue last year to address the crisis in the Anglophone regions, and this national dialogue was criticized, was considered as flawed. Critics accused the government of having a sort of predetermined agenda, and a lot of proposals were made during this dialogue, and I think it did not prevent the worsening of the crisis. Main separatist leaders based outside the country could not participate. And from a human rights point of view, I was concerned by the absence of any discussion on serious human rights violations committed.
Okay, I want to take and slowly because the video the end. It be very important to understand the solution where they talk am. First, Cameroon that organize Grand National Dialogue. Ambazonians should know that the international community consider Paul Biya organizing the Grand National Dialogue and issuing the special status as a solution proposed by the Cameroon government. So if you ask the world that what has Cameroon government have done, that is what they will point at. Whether we like it or not, that is what they will say. And our argument is it was a predetermined solution made by Cameroon unilaterally, and it does not address the root cause of our solution. And even if you look at the special status, it's really a non-starter to the aspiration of our people. And like the international community have come to realize, it didn't stop the conflict from continuing the war. Actually, I think it just exacerbates the struggle. And the main reason for that is the parties of the conflict were not involved in that process. And it couldn't be involved because the process was a domestic process. The outcome was predetermined and all those reasons and are valid arguments that we have. So this is the way the world faced the solution. We have Cameroon's special status and Grand National Dialogue, which everybody who the international community is, or everybody's on the same page that it does not, it didn't really go anywhere. It's just Cameroon proposing things by themselves. So the international community have agreed with that particular point. And the whole issue have been that the other parts of this conflict, which are the Ambazonian factions, were not there. So the solution is that they want the Ambazonian sides to be engaged in the solution. They want them to be engaged and listen.
Since the crisis began. And I think the search for a lasting solution.
And one thing I forgot to mention, which is very critical, and that there should be accountability for gross human rights violations. We know that Paul Biya also have his own cocoa in Ngarbu massacre. That one have also risen to the level where the international community want to see some accountability. That's why they are making this a mock trial, bribing people here and there. So, yeah, somebody can call Mr. Galega. Yeah, you can call. So that was it. I want you people to understand this thing. It's very important, what I'm telling you now. Very important. How the international system work and what they are thinking and to where we are going. Because I've talked with these people, had one-on-one with them, and I'm just telling you the facts so that we can assess this car. So the international community wants that the separatists should be engaged directly because Paul Biya did not engage us. They also want that there should be accountability for crimes against humanity that rose to those levels, like the one in Kumba and the one in Garbu. And so listen.
Peaceful solution for the crisis is absence of any discussion on serious human rights violations committed since the crisis began. And I think the search for a lasting solution and peaceful solution for the crisis is of course not easy, but I continue to believe that it cannot be addressed unless impunity is addressed, impunity for serious military abuse. Impunity has been...
So this is the approach that the international community wants, which is reflected from what the Human Rights Watch researcher is talking about. They want the world to address the impunity issue. They want the world to come and punish the people who target and let the people who are engaged in human rights violation, gross human rights violation, should be held responsible. That is what they want to happen first. In any solution that will happen, they must punish the people who are doing this this human right violation. So somehow, after this thing happened, with all the defense we put up there and showed these people everything, they went and targeted Dr. Chuayaba with the sanction that the American gave him not to be able to enter America. And he's an innocent man. He have nothing to do with this thing. When you see people like the Bush baby and Bay, they are celebrating, they don't know what it means. That is a very bad indication for our struggle. This particular target that they target him, and it should be a wake-up call for us to make sure that we avert anything that can disrupt our struggle. They are seeing Dr. Chuayaba as the main leader who is responsible for this war. He is the main person advocating for the armed resistance and the diplomacy engagement for our struggle. And he becomes a target just for being that person. He's being targeted just for being that person. I'm also being targeted in the latest round, and Dr. Chua have informed me about that. They have not shared with me the type of effort Cameroon is using at this particular stage. I don't know why. I've asked him, he didn't tell me. I don't know why. But let's just tell our people to know that this is very important, that this type of things do not happen, and that we make sure that they don't happen. We take active approach to make sure that this type of things do not happen, because if it happens, we are going down for it. Not only that, it is going to decapitate our leadership for our struggle. So it's very important. So I'll continue to play it and let you know.
Key driver of the crisis, and addressing that would be already a significant step to end the violence, because there's been almost a complete lack of prosecutions by the government for crimes committed by its soldiers and troops in the Anglophone region. So this is a big problem which has fueled the violence.
You've spoken about the violence and human rights abuses and atrocities that have taken place in Cameroon 3 years on, but when we look at the international community's response to that region and perhaps some of the measures that have been taken place, is enough being done? What more can be done, Ilaria, as we conclude the conversation?
Since the region sunk into violence, the international community has done little to confront and to acknowledge the problem, has done little to address the crisis. The African Union and other African institutions have mostly been silent, failed to denounce what's going on. And on the other side, the United Nations have not done much better, although the UN has been more vocal, especially this year, with some strong statements about the serious human rights abuses committed by both government forces and separatist fighters, and also warned both sides about the consequences. I generally believe that there's a need to increase awareness and understanding about Cameroon's multiple crises, not just the Anglophone crisis, but also the Boko Haram conflict in the far north, the governance and political crisis among key international players, and for a more robust diplomatic and political engagement.
So the United Nations have warned. They have sent a warning to Ambazonia and to La République about the consequences of gross human rights violation. That warning is there, and it has serious consequences. It's not a joke, both on Cameroon and us. There are sanctions against Cameroon leaders for gross human rights violation as well, who cannot travel to America. We know that for sure. So, ladies and gentlemen, what is the point to let you know all these things? Is to let you know that the solution that the world wants to push is for peace, a peaceful solution. That is what they want. How they get to that peaceful solution, because the United Nations and the international community have agreed that this thing cannot go on forever. How do you attain that peaceful resolution as the international community is talking about? Is to take away the people who are an obstacle for peace. According to them, a lot of internal enablers have tried to assist Cameroon to frame the whole Ambazonian struggle as we are people who are against peace. We just want war. Especially Dr. Chuayaba have been a victim for this scam. They have actually worked with some people I know who are in the IG to make up stories and substantiate and accuse Dr. Chuayaba, the ADF, and including myself, of gross human rights violation for the sole purpose to assist Cameroon in this mission. They think that if they take out these people, they are going to be leaders, but Cameroon is actually thinking that if they take out these people, the struggle is going to end. And even those people that are working with them, they will still take them out. So those things, these are the real things that are going on. If the war can classify our struggles as extremist, our entire struggle, that we are standing on the way of peace, then this is done. How do we walk past this? And can we? Does this peace mean independence for Ambazonia? It is possible that this peace can mean independence for Ambazonia if we prove to the world that we are advocating for peace in justice. Cameroon want peace in normalcy. We want that peace should come in justice. And what would justice mean? It will mean that you address the injustice to our territory that have been done by both the British government and the Cameroon government, which have undermined our right of self-determination for an independent solution so that we can become an outright independence. You can get this only through a negotiation table where you go there and you sit and you prove to the world that we are reasonable people with legitimate cause that needs justice. And if this justice is given, our people will be satisfied and will be able to live within the solution that will be found, and peace will return back home. So at this stage, after this attack in Kumba, all these reports that came up, they were supposed to use to nail Ambazonia. And the report of the Alaria of Human Rights Watch that followed actually reflected what I did, because my name is included there. The name of Ebenezer Konga, they said that they contacted everybody, and the Ambazonian side was not responsive, except Capo Daniel of the Ambazonian Governing Council of the ADF. They didn't even put the name of Dr. Choi Ayaba, yet he's been the one who have been scapegoated in the whole this thing. So, fellow Ambazonian, I will move now to the next video, and I want to tell you the sequence of events. After this incident happened in 2020, the next thing again was in Ekondo Titi, which I will not even want to show those videos. In Ekondo Titi, we had Ambazonian fighters of General Tenkobo went into a school and attacked students in the classroom. Imagine all these things. What would have happened? And he had made warning about it. Some of you may think that these things are all jokes, or I'm just saying this thing now, and you know, all these conspiracy people will be thinking like, but why Capo is saying all these things now? I'm saying it, of course, our struggle have had a big setback, and I'm going to show you why and how. But I want to show you where it all started and the bullets we have missed. And at that time, I made a presentation. I talked to Dr. Choi Ayaba that we know that these are the guys of Tenkobo who carry out this attack. Horace, who is my assistant, he also bring out report and everything. The soldiers were actually, they went and they were somewhere. We heard from other soldiers. We had evidence from other soldiers who met them, and they were talking about what had happened and stuff like that. And I made this presentation, which I want to play with you. I want to play so that you see, because I know some people, conspirators, will come out and they are saying that Capo Dene is saying this thing. Is now I'm saying it because of a reason. But I want you to know that at that time I was saying exactly what I'm saying now. So let me play the clip of after the Ekondo Titi attack, when our students were killed in a very, very bad manner. And I made this presentation. Let me bring it to you. It's loading up. It will take a couple of seconds. My line is open. I think somebody is saying that they should call only after the show, but it's up to you guys. Anybody can call. For me, it's okay. So it's loading. My computer is slow. I hope no cyber attack this time. So let's see, it's loading. So fellow Ambazonian, these are the bullets that Ambazonian lost. And the work I did, the submission I did to the Human Rights Watch, it was not done by the PhD people today. It's not done by the people who are trying to come that they want to go and negotiate on behalf of Ambazonia, irrespective of their competence. Those competence were not displayed when Ambazonia needs saving. Honor, how they call him, how many Bokba is angry that they are doing pre-talks or talks without him. When these things were happening, where was he? Where was everybody? So, this is the report I gave after that Ekonde Titi attack, which I want you to see. And it's important that you pay attention. Maybe he really don't know. This is what happened in Ekonde Titi. This is a specific unit that have carried out this atrocity. We must reject it and make sure it doesn't happen again. We must reject it and make sure it doesn't happen again. It is not by covering up crimes that you think that the international community will not know what happens. By covering up a crime, you are partnering in that crime. You are also going to facilitate future crimes of that same nature. This is what happened in Ekonde Titi.
Not be the first time this. Now just say at times things that the people that they focus their mind too much on northern zone because of some certain cabals where they don't exist from northern zone where they just cause chaos. Now other people they need pay much focus for southern zone for things that they happen. Last year 2020, Tenkobu, he nice personally be enter for that same school. He be killed 2 picking them. Now 2 picking them be killed last year. It will be a serious problem.
So I will leave on for day. So for this one, the voice for that audio now who raised, he talk about the killing of the Pekin of Ekonde Titi, and I will come out, I will condemn them with the highest possible means. I will talk for all the leaders, and all of them they still refuse to condemn them. They refuse to condemn them. I was the only one who came out to condemn. The only person who actually supported me to do that was Dr. Chua Yaba. Even General Efang, he asked me to condemn it. Yeah, go ahead. I told them what I want to do. They said, go ahead. It's not right. So listen to unknown gunmen. Because the system they don't become fear. We're not going to live for a country where our own village people, they fear we. All Ambazonian chiefs, the way they in Ambazonia control area, they are at liberty to say whatever they want to say. When I see Pekin, the way they can shoot them by class, it been natural. They even stop some of the Pekin for road. They want shoot some of the Pekin for road. The boy then talk say they say no me they not shoot that one them. Say they know them. So now people they know them. All man know them for day. I cannot support killing of our own children like this. Not in my name, not in Ambazonia. This is not politics. We are not blaming. It's not a blame game. It's human life. Dr. Cho cannot take it. If Dr. Cho can take it, I will not work with him. Efang cannot take it. If he can take it, I will not work with him. If this is the conduct of Amba Boys, our people will not fight for independence. They would rather just be like that. But I'm here to tell you, in Ekonde Titi, that the boys who carry out this attack, they have committed a crime against humanity and against Ambazonia. And they will pay for their crime. They will pay for their crime. I'm asking Commander Tenkobo, arrest the commander in charge and show it to the public, because you are answerable to the Ambazonian public. You led a group who killed 2 children in this same school last year. This same school. If it is not a policy, I have given out time limit for SACO to come out and condemn this action. They have come out to say that people should go and close school, physical school. How will you send the military to go and close school, directing them that life is not as important? We have. So, fellow Ambazonians, when I hear, I talk today exactly the same way I've been talking for that audio. I check somebody send messages. No, I will not respond. I will not. I only call. I will take only call, not text. I will not read text. So, I explain today the same way I talk. So, I know I'll be very consistent. If, as I be talk today, if our soldier them, they go to key people, then they go to carry atrocity them. Me, I no go demi there. I go deny. We will fight them. As I be talking that time, as the same thing I talk. And those forces will be noticed, they will call themselves restoration forces. And Abitoksi Sako must come down, condemn them, because for responsibility, the principle of command responsibility, it means that say, if you don't take responsibility, say now you fight for this thing, you don't put out policy, and then people that do things like this, you get the responsibility to condemn it if it is not you. If you do not condemn it, then they will assume that you are guilty. It's done by you or by your people. That's why you're quiet. So I stood my ground on this issue and I pushed it. And these things really save our country. I don't think anybody could have done it if I didn't do it. People would have just stayed quiet. And the people that agreed for me to do it, I think people who think the same way. And I really appreciate Dr. Cho to stand for this type of against this type of thing. So these are very, very important things. I'll take you back to our presentation for today, and I'll be rounding up so that we. Oops, what is happening? Hello. Okay, so let's go. I don't know why it's not working anymore. Now I'll come for what we do and we'll talk on today when about my resignation, why I resigned. So these two incidents then, if we get for destroy our struggle, the killing for Kumba and the one for Ekondo Titi, will be talk clear for the war, say that attack it will be carried by Ambazonian forces them, where they will be misguided, and we ask the IG for condemn them and we'll ask Commander Ten Kobo when a soldier they be carried that attack for arrest the soldier they will be involved and for punish them so that the international community will do the right thing, and that is the right thing to do. Because if imagine the parents and for this speaking they had to cry, do you think that they can ever support the struggle? Do you really think that they will ever support the struggle after going those things? What about the communities? So it's very important that we do that. So what has happened now that I have we survived then? We survived then because the international communities have now tried to push things, and we finally you had the engagement with the Swiss came up, and now you have the Canadian negotiation where the Ambazonian side have been engaged. If you don't know what is going on, you don't know the big picture, you make a big mistake. Now that they have engaged, they started engaging the weaker factions, the factions that they thought they could just play it and go along. But Ambazonian nationalists were very strong and said that the Swiss deal was not good enough. We could not engage with the Swiss negotiation process because you cannot blame them, because initially they'll reach out to the weak people and see if there's a way to just get this thing done, and it could not work. Even the Americans have come out to say that the Swiss thing wasn't any serious thing. It was just trying to bring us in and listen to them and then play with us and get us back to accept to be in Cameroon without really giving us justice. And we rejected that. So know the intention of the international community. There is no country now, as of now, as I speak to you, that will say that they can back Ambazonian independence right now. There is no country now that supports Ambazonian independence. Every country wants Ambazonia to have, they want peace to come back, but they just don't know why, how to get there. They cannot dismiss our self-determination, because it is our right to decide what we want. They cannot say that they don't want independence either. But they just prefer that we should remain peace. We should have peace, find peace with Cameroon. The Americans, that is the position of the Americans. Even the Canadians, their position is that they want peace with Cameroon. They prefer that. And all the countries, they prefer that. But it is our responsibility to be able to convince them that a peace that can come will be a peace that will give us justice. Justice for peace. We need justice for peace. The international community is also asking for justice for those human rights violations, accountability before they can go to peace. So it's very important that you know this calculation and what the international community wants. They have engaged us. Finally, we have had pre-talks that have happened in Canada, and I'm going to give you this information because you need to know. It is only in Ambazonia where Oman talks, so no talk. We have told you people that there were supposed to be a ceasefire in Christmas period. We have a caller. Hello, comrade.
Hey, bro.
You have 1 minute to make your comment or question, and you better use your time preciously. You have 1 minute. Go ahead. Everybody's listening to you.
Hey, hello.
Hello, you are on air, on live show with Capo Daniel, and everybody is listening to you. You have 1 minute to say, give your comment or your question. Go ahead. Okay, I guess I off him because he cannot be very fast. We don't have time to waste. So, fellow Ambazonian, like I don't tell now, that is what has happened. So, basically, the international community wants peace. They want peace. There are many countries that have lined up to help Cameroon to pay money for reconstruction. The Cameroon have suffered effect from our fighting. We have been successful to make it ungovernable. We have delegitimized them. We have deconstructed their lies to the international communities. And the world now have a good sense about what is going on and have a good sense about our history. And now what is going on is that they are pushing Cameroon that we have to negotiate and discuss with these people and let us see together, Cameroon and the international community, which way to go to have peace. And in this process, they have tried the Swiss deal. The Cameroon have offered the special status, which is good for us. The special status is good for us. It doesn't mean that we should accept it. It's good for us. Why? Because it shows our case. It shows that indeed we are right, that we are people from a region that came into that country that is they're calling it special, but actually they cannot give us special status. The logic that they have issued that special status means that Cameroon have recognized that if these two people were together, now one is giving the other one special status, it means that there is really something that distinguished them. So they have acknowledged that there was a problem, which is good for us. That is the part that I say is good for us. I don't say the special status is good for us. The special status is not acceptable. It's a non-starter. We cannot even look at it. It is only independence and our self-determination or nothing else. So what is going on is that the international community is engaging us. They want to see if we can be a partner in this peace or not. Cameroon don't want them to do that. Cameroon prefer to fight and kill everybody. That is what Paul Biya wants to do. He doesn't want to negotiate. He is looking for any reason to back out. The international community, the United Nations have told him that he must sit with us, otherwise this thing will be taken to the Security Council in other ways to get for accountability and for the right things to done. They have done so under tremendous challenges because remember, the French government have the Cameroons back. So finally, we have this wonderful opportunity, and I've spoke to a lot of people who have made things to happen. The international communities have paid special attention to what I have said about the killing in Ekondo Titi and the killing in Kumba. Because of my presentation and advocacy, primarily, that is what have saved us and make the international community to think that we are people that can be reasonable. We are people that do not just want to fight war until the last man will die. We are people that they can engage in meaningful negotiation. This is how these things have happened. It is also because our soldiers have fought very well. It is because all the other factions who have been doing their campaign, everybody have done their work. But I'm just telling you the part that I played that is very crucial. And I'm sure if I didn't play that part, this struggle could have been done. Not only by the international community, but our people. I probably could have had the ability to use Kunyam titles and use the population to overpower our soldiers. That would have happened. So our soldiers should know that anything you do that violates human rights, you are killing the whole struggle. So now we have this opportunity to negotiate. We have gone into a process of pre-talks. We had an engagement to keep secret so that the process will go ahead. But that period is over because it was supposed to make sure that the thing is, people don't know that that thing was going on, so that eternal enemies from both sides will not disrupt it before it comes to maturity. Now it has come to maturity. There is a framework for negotiation that includes, it is really you get into a negotiation without precondition from our side, Ambazonian side, and from La Republic du Cameroon side. Without precondition means that anything can be there that we want, anything can be there that La Republic wants. Ambazonians, within that framework, is included our right of self-determination for independence. It is there. We have achieved that. La Republic have also put their own thing there, what they want. They want one Cameroon for us to go back and stay with them. They want to see how they can make it. And both, they have accepted that if it turned out to be the way we want it as well, if we win it through that negotiation, and that is really what our people want through self-determination, then they will abide to it. So we have that one already packaged as a framework for negotiation to start. And now we have confidence building measures that we're supposed to put in place so that we will have an environment that will enable negotiation to go on, and the conflict will be transferred from the battlefield into the negotiation room. And we're supposed to have two major components for confidence building. One was a ceasefire, which was supposed to take place in December, around Christmas period, for a short period and just end in early January. And the second was prisoner release. Our prisoners were supposed to be released. These are the things that were on the table for confidence building measures. And we all agreed that these are the right things to do. And in that negotiation table, there are some Ambazonian delegates who, they are all my friends. They're all my friends. I like everybody there. But there were some that were really, really not professional. And we end up kicking them out. We had people who came there and they were not professional. We were working there as a team. We represent Ambazonia there. Nobody was going there saying that he's AGOFC or this or that. We went there as one team, as Ambazonia team. And we, amongst ourselves, we choose somebody who is going to moderate us and guide us through those process. Unlike the Jongu Foncha who went to Fumban conference to negotiate without any support, we had tremendous technical support from professors and universities. We had international partners network that were providing us with the necessary support system, research system, and we had everything that would equip the delegates that were sent there by the various movements to engage on behalf of our nation. So we were sent there on behalf of our nation. So we were there representing our nation, not the people who sent us there. So during those process, there were people who were kicked out. For La Republique, we refused to sit down with people who were civil servants, who were civil society, and all those people that came along with them. We refused to sit down with them. And we sat down with people who were from representing the state of Cameroon, both from their presidency and the prime minister side. And they were top Cameroon senior civil services people who came there. And the lead was a very, very smart Ambazonian guy. Very smart guy. Very technical people. They were very wise. And we had a very good team. Had a very, very good team. And we were very good. We had good support as well. They also had their support. And we had good leaders. The leaders really worked together. We also worked together. But we had difficulties because the leaders were, the AGOFC leaders, she were working with us. And then the IG groups were working with their people. But there was a gap. Our leaders, all of them, do not have access to all the delegates. We needed to sit together with our leaders. That didn't happen. We will sit with our own principal leaders, but not as a group. Delegates will sit as a group, leaders will sit as a group, but the two groups were distant. That gap was there, and some representative of the side of one of the faction, one group that was there was eventually removed because they were not very professional. They lied, they misrepresented to us, not in the delegation, about certain things that they were supposed to present there. They tell us we are going to do one thing, and then they did something else, which was very unprofessional. And they admitted at the end that they just do that because they wanted to follow what their leader, their principal had told them to do, even though they knew that wasn't the right thing to do. But they were just loyal to their leader. And I think that disqualifies anybody, because if my leader tells me to do something and I think that that thing is not the right thing to do or the proper thing to do, I will either resign. Or I don't do it. I don't follow his instruction. Those are the two things I will do. And that is how we have to behave in Ambazonia. Otherwise, we'll be a country like La Republic where the military cannot step in and take power from that old diaper wearing man. So everything went on well, and we had this deal done. We also had some individuals that were also rejected because of similar stuff. And we had the whole thing that really break out. In those talks and all those things, we had members of our team of the AGOFC who are not the principal people who have championed this cause in terms of the military on the ground and in terms of what we do in public activity. Institutions are meant to strengthen leaders, not the leaders strengthens the organization for that purpose. It's supposed to be like that. Institutions during war liberation period are meant to strengthen the leaders. And you have to know your place. Everybody have to know their place. In Ambazonian struggle, I'll tell you something. We have 3 leaders, 3, who are capable and competent to give military instructions, who can tell the military what to do, what not to do, and give command, and they will take it. Because we have earned it with our capability, with our credibility, and we stepping up to take the risk that they are taking on the ground. You have only 3. Dr. Cho Ayaba, myself, and Ebenezer Akwanga. We are the only 3 leaders who are really giving instruction in this light and have demonstrated our capability of recruiting soldiers, not just inspiring them, recruiting them, taking charge of military operation on the ground, and also having a mastery of the various parts, because leadership is not just one thing. It's not just one area. You have to be very smart in many, many different areas. These are the 3 leaders that Ambazonia have in terms of our war front. And the world knows that. It's Ayabacho, Kapo Daniel, Ebenezer Akwanga. The rest, you have Jomba Akoro. You cannot say he's a military leader during the wartime, but he is a leader as well in the popular mobilization. He really goes out there to campaign to mobilize our people, encourages our soldiers, but he cannot give instruction to the military. He cannot. But he's a leader in that force that needs to be accumulated. You have people like the leadership of Siseko Ayok Tabi. These people, they are also leaders, but they cannot be taking decisions on military manner because he cannot give military instructions. He can just give instruction based on his advice, but he cannot tell soldiers order to do something. He's not competent. And I'll tell you why the other people are not competent to give military instructions. Siseko Ayok Tabi, he's somebody who apologized for La Republique for actions taken by Ambazonian forces. That already disqualifies him. He did so for political reasons. Any leader who can delegitimize our forces, look at the Yerima, what they do on SCBC TV, or how do they call that TV? They go out there because they have differences in politics. They go and delegitimize soldiers, making them vulnerable to attack and making La Republique capable of using our civilians to give them intelligence to kill them. Kassim Nyangwe have gone on TV to tell people, join me, we'll go fight Ayabacho, this liberation tax. But you didn't see these people fighting for Ekono Titi or in Manu where people were being killed by ARF. You didn't see them. So this disqualified them from being a commander-in-chief in Ambazonia. It disqualified all of them. But they are patriots, they are leader. Honorable Weber, he refused, he did not resign in La Republique. He was telling people that he is standing for the people, but he didn't follow what the people were saying as well. Does it mean that he's not a leader? He's a leader. But when I talk about leader, our liberation war, the war effort, you have only 3 leaders. Dr. Cho Ayaba, Ebenezer Akwanga, and myself. The other leaders should come around, and all institutions we have is supposed to support these leaders to lead our country and to free our country. Without this 3 combination, nothing will happen. There should be a council where leadership would participate, where Rijomba Okoro and Kas Nanyagwe and all those various leading figures can also input. But when it comes to decision taking, there are 3 people who are competent in Ambazonian Liberation War. Ayaba Cho, Ebenezer Akwanga, and myself. These are the only 3 people who do not just inspire soldiers and campaign for and articulate our struggle perfectly, but are the only people who can give instruction publicly to a nation as a commander-in-chief. Because as a commander-in-chief, you don't just command your military. During wartime, it's a time of emergency. Military men give commands to civilians and they take control of the nation. They control the life of our nation. And what they do determines the outcome of the struggle. What Dr. Chuayaba decides today, what Ebenezer Akwanga decides today, what I decide today will determine the nature, the outcome of this struggle. We are in control, both psychologically to our people and our soldiers on the ground. And it will take the 3 of us to be able to consult and make decisions, like it or not. If I decide to withdraw myself, the struggle will fail. It will fail. If Ayabacho tries to decide to withdraw himself, the struggle will fail. If Ebenezer Akwanga decides to withdraw himself, the struggle will really fail because he does not do the public campaign again. So he's lacking in that area. He does not do the public campaign, but he has a lot of influence and respect because he has recruited soldiers. He has a military ideology. He has sent soldiers to fight war. People have died under his hands. He has a serious responsibility. Sisiko. So you guys, I tell you the truth. These are just the truth I'm telling you. And I'm telling you so proudly so. We have to be very proud of who we are. These are not the pride that leads to people who fall. It's the pride that gives you confidence so that we know what we are doing. So I was sent there, but I think we have misconception on what people. This guy keep on sending me text message to read it. I'm not reading any text message. So I'm going to conclude now. This is what you people have to know. Decisions were taken by the AGOFC leadership that I disagree with regarding the confidence building measures. I believe that it amounts to things that I could resign. Why? Because the leader, Dr. Chuayaba, who took this decision, had the benefit of thinking with him together. We think through things. A lot of things. He called me, I give advice. We think through things together. We carry projects together. We have worked together for long. He's a patriot. This is in no way trying to tell Ambazona people that he's compromised. He will never compromise himself unless you kill him. That one be sure, but you will never compromise. He will never take money from the Republic. But he made wrong decision. And the reason why he made wrong decision is because he failed to recognize who is leading the liberation struggle, who is doing what. And he instead, decisions that we made collectively, I mean, everybody was in agreement of this decision, of the negotiation, of the peace, of the confidence building measures. But you had these 2 people, the vice president of the AGOFC, Udai Konikot, with the NSA of the ADF, of the AGOFC, who were there, being irritation, giving Dr. Chuayaba wrong advice based on wrong presumptions, fake intelligence, completely wrong. And he accepted those advice and made decisions accordingly. I stood there, I could not believe myself. Everybody was in this, but no, this thing is wrong. We already have La Republique in a commitment. So we didn't really need to worry about the nitty-gritty of the confidence building measures, whether they were effective or not. Because what is paramount is the negotiation itself. We already had them there. And now we had prisoner release and cessation of hostility, which were supposed to create an enabling environment and even relieve our people from the atrocities of the Cameroon military. Because Cameroon military, during those ceasefire, were supposed to withdraw to their barracks and their forward operating bases in Ambazonia. And they had accepted those things. Cameroon had accepted those things, and they wanted to release prisoners. We had informed prisoners. I include the names of our prisoners who were there, Mancho BBC, Benji, and all of those people. Things leaked out, and they knew that they were supposed to come out. And because we're now fighting about let the announcement comes before the ceasefire and prisoner release, and not that the prisoner released and the ceasefire should come before the other one. So decisions were taken arguing these little things, because people who were there, and this is a danger we have. People who sit in organizations or institutions and think that they are leader because they have been voted or because they are within, they carry some position. No, you are not in a position because you are a leader. You are in a position to facilitate what the leadership is doing and what the visions of the leaders are doing. You are not a leader because you are in a position there, and that the being in a position does not reduce my role in our struggle as a leader. As somebody who is competent in that position, I was really angry with that decision. Because why? Not just that we let down our people, but we failed to seize this opportunity. We become an irritation to everybody, and the Canadians as well. When the Cameroon government had successfully met Joe Biden and made their case and avert the pressure that they were supposed to get during those period, and they really realized that we were not going in to stop hostility and create an enabling environment for the negotiation to kick in. They saw it as an opportunity because the Canadians were now at odds with us, our position, and international partners were all at odds with our position, and we were looking like people who did not want peace. And Cameroon seized that opportunity and declared that they were not a part of it and just withdraw themselves. Because if the whole sensitivity about La République, the whole reason why they were there in the first place was because they were trying to prove something to the international community, and they just proved it by our own reaction, our own stupidity there, because of people who are worried that, oh, this Capo Daniel is going to go here, this one is going to do here, this one. For ridiculous reason, we missed the opportunity to seize the opportunities we had there and establish these conditions that were necessary for these negotiations to start. And Cameroon have withdrawn. And finally, the Canadians have traveled to meet La République du Cameroon, and the Cameroon government have told them he does not want to engage within the premises of the agreed commitment that we had. So the commitment is gone, it's out down the train. Whatever thing is coming, we'll need to talk again about commitment. So we have destroyed this opportunity. We have destroyed it. And I was not happy with it. I waited, I opposed, I raised my voice, and it wasn't listened to. And I said, I can't follow a group if the leadership is going towards this direction where they are being pulled by incompetent people who are hiding their face from media, but they want to play that prominent role. Just when you had those type of profile, you can't play that. You can't do that. It's not possible. And I was very disappointed with Dr. Ni, who behaved like a woman. He behaved like a woman. He was there. He saw the irritations and the disruptions that this individual who have misadvised the leader of our war of liberation, he almost cried. He was there with tears in his eyes. And because he was more involved in wanting to show that he's, there are these people who are afraid of other people's potentials. And he had to go along with those things. I don't want to go further to explain all those things, but he had to go along with it. So him and this lady, they gang up and push the president to take a wrong decision. And at the end of the day, when we lose all these opportunities, I come to realize that, okay, but why do you take all these decisions? Why are you really refusing all these things I'm pushing? And the reason was that I have accommodated so much power and I can become a one-point failure. So while we are pushing for our country to be free, to even relieve our people from this pain of war, they are taking decisions because they are worried about power. They are worried about Capo Danie's power. We're there in Canada, people are refusing that we should not even take pictures. I shouldn't even meet the communities and interact the way I wanted. They are struggling so hard to restrict it because they don't want people to see my shine. What type of even shine is there during war? If this thing does not end with our victory, all of us are gone. We are gone. La Republic will hunt us down. So those are the disagreements that I decided to say that we have lost this opportunity because of these wrong decisions we made, that the leadership have made. And I have to step down and take the responsibility for these decisions, for these positions, because the organization was doubling down on the same line, following the same shadows. And at the end of the day, when I realized that it was because of all this thing, I decided to resign. I was hoping that when I resigned, the leader of our War of Liberation, Dr. Chua Yaba, would look at the reasons of all these problems for the past 3 months since December, and those differences that I keep on fighting for them, and he will look at them and think again and say that, but this we did the wrong decisions, but he's keep on still holding on that position for other reasons. I don't know why. And it's just keep on doubling down. And I can't be with that in that leadership. And I believe that I should do the advocacy that I was doing. The campaign I did with the international community to avert the calamity that the Kumba attack and the Kondotiti attack could have done to our struggle. I will continue to write those letters. And I can't be sending out those letters as an activist. I have to send it based on a platform that is an advocative platform. So that is why I created the African People's Advocacy Organization and the chapter for Ambazonia, which is the Ambazonian People's Right Advocacy Platform. To use those platforms to be able to still write and engage to the international countries and international partners and defend Ambazonia and advocate for our rights. That is why I created this organization. I have been having forces that I've been using in La Republic that I call firefighters as well, who are very loyal to me, and they don't want to work with anybody in ADF. For the many operations they have taken, I have named them as ADF operations because they were done with coordination with me and I was acting in that capacity. Now I'm not in that capacity. If they carry action, I can't say that it is ADF actions. So I need to structure them in a way that I can project their actions to be a positive and an addition to our liberation work. That's why I have to be the commander-in-chief of that force, the dark force, which will be a force that works in the shadow like they have been working. And I also, with my influence in terms of command ability and a leader, I'll also be doing that for the rest of the country and the rest of the forces that listens to me, because they trust us. The command and control in Ambazonia is not as solid like that of people who hold the sovereign power. We do not pay salary for anybody. The soldiers, they listen for us because they trust us and they respect us, and they have gained that respect for what we stand. And they know that we give them that legitimacy, which means we give them the approval that goes with our people. Our ability to have command and control also depends on our ability to reflect the will and interest of our people, which I do. So I can command forces that are not under me or under my institutions, and they will listen to me and they will follow my instructions because they know that I am a legitimate representation of the interests of their people. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is where we come from. This is the setback we have. Cameroon have taken advantage of our wrong decisions that we have taken based on wrong assumptions and wrong advice. And now the danger is that the international community have now started to follow suit with Cameroon. The Japanese have released funds that they were holding for the so-called reconstruction. They have already issued the money, I think $2 million or something. I can't remember exactly how much. The other government, the Americans, are now engaging with Cameroon to have the Cameroon penalty or sanctions in the AGOA to be lifted. If that happened, that would have sent our struggle very far backward. And Cameroon is a dying economy as a result of our fighting. And my calculation is that for us to win this war, the war now are now sustaining Cameroon by borrowing Cameroon money. They give Cameroon small money for pay salary and for keep the country afloat. Give money also for project. One of the logic of reconstruction is that it actually survives the economy of La Republic. It gives them some limelight because that money circulates within the system. So they are like, Cameroon is on life support. And we want to make the international community knows that they will continue to support Cameroon on life support for a long time. And they don't want to do that. It's not sustainable for them. So they will try to, it may convince them to see that there is no solution. They cannot bail out Cameroon with this war going on. And I believe by the Haiti solution, we can do that. If you can bring down a complete stop of all their exploitation that benefits the international food chain, they will think twice. And we can disrupt Cameroon such a way that they will continue to need money. Nobody will just be borrowing somebody money every day, borrow. They cannot borrow Cameroon money forever. At some point, they'll tell him this thing has to stop. And our soldiers on the ground, they have to respect the right of our people. They don't have to do excesses if they want us to win. Because they do more excesses, and the international community would label this struggle as an extremist struggle. And it is not going to go anywhere if that happened. As it could have happened during the time of Ekondo Titi and Kumba massacre, Kumba school attack. So fellow Amazonian, I've given you the state of our liberation movement. We have had a diplomatic setback that Cameroon have managed to outsmart us and take advantage and get what they want. And we didn't seize the opportunity to get what we could. I believe we could get better than what we have. So now we have a commitment. Our people needs to know the commitment. We are commitment to discuss about what the commitment, the content of the commitment have been briefly put out to our people. And I think that I don't need to go to elaborate on that because of time constraint. But our people deserve the rights to know. This is not reporting anybody. If we can study how Foncha they made mistakes, it helped us, and then definitely we need to study how we have made this mistake. It will help us. We have to continue to fight hard on the ground, arm our forces on the ground, support, I always believe, support groups that have institution. The ADF have a very good institution. I know the people who are there. We have worked very hard. The SG of the ADF is a very hardworking man. I support him very much, and I believe in them. Mama Wale and all those people I support. Even Lucas Asu, Dr. Chuayaba, even though he has made this wrong decision and he's doubling down on this decision, I think that if he continues to go down this path, we will fail. I believe that strongly, we will fail. And if I see that he continues to go down this path, and I am unable to do it in my way, by myself, then he will be so weak that we'll have to reassess our struggle. And you have to know this thing. We must always be capable of taking stock, like I said in the beginning of this show, and see whether we can win or we cannot. If we are unable to do that, which I believe our leaders cannot do that now, because they are so worried about their image, they are so worried about popularity, who is doing that, which is the reason why they are making the mistakes they have made. If we cannot sit and take stock and think that can we win this war or not, then we have already lost our mind. We should always be in an intellectually sound place where we can assess can we win, can we not win, and then we adjust as such. If we cannot win, that means that Dr. Cho Ayaba, myself, and Ebenezer Akonga cannot be at the top of decision making. Then the people who are under Because all of these dynamics, these people who are under, they will keep on trying to be there. The leaders may also try to bring people because they want yes, sir. They want people who will be saying yes, sir. All the leaders want yes, men, yes, men, yes, men. And then in also accommodating the other leaders who are not really command leaders, to accommodate them, we must be sure that everybody know their place and their capacity and their competence. They should know their competence and their capacity and will be in a council where decisions will be made and people respect those ranks. 5 fingers are not the same, but they are the same. They are from the same hand. You have to know which one is taller, which one is shorter, which one is shortest. You have to know. They all have their own strength. What Jomba Okoro is doing is very important. What Ebenezer Okonga is doing is very important. What Yerima is doing is very important. What everybody is doing is very important. What Casting Anyango is doing is very important. But that does not mean we cannot criticize them. Once you cannot criticize people, you have lost your mind. You have lost your mind. You must be able to criticize and be able to evaluate and to be able to do all those things. You should be. So I will continue to bring you updates, do my podcast for public rallying and to push our agenda. I'll continue doing my advocacy through my platform. And I pray that Dr. Chua Yaba, one day he will come to his senses and realize that he has ended up to surround himself with people and an institution that was supposed to help him to be a better leader, and thinking that his power is coming from that institution. That institution is there to strengthen you. Your power does not come from institution. You are not a leader of our war of liberation because somebody voted you. No. You are a leader because you are a capable person. You are bold. You are courageous. You are selfless. You are intelligent. And you are a principled person. And you are a public person. Not a private. You cannot be a private person and then you say you want to lead. You cannot be somebody who cannot talk in public and then you say you want to lead. You cannot be somebody who cannot command a military and then you say you are a leader. You cannot be somebody who cannot call a gun a gun. You cannot be somebody who cannot go to prison and then you call yourself a leader. Remember, when you learn about revolutions, you basically learn about the life of the people, of the leaders and their principles. That is what succeeds. And without those leaders and those principles, they will not succeed. Without Nelson Mandela, South Africa wouldn't have succeeded. They wouldn't. They would have. The apartheid would have continued to amalgamate, change its strategy to continue to maintain them in the 21st century. You needed a Mandela who knew what he was doing, who is selfless, who is bold, and sat there and had those principles. You needed Fidel Castro to liberate Cuba. If Fidel Castro was not alive, if he was killed or he was dead, that struggle would end. You saw the case of Ernest Nwani and Umnyobe. It takes Muammar Gaddafi. It was him who freed his country. Without him, that country, look at where the country is. So in Ambazonia, we have leaders, and we cannot do without the leaders. People who think that leaders are dispensable, well, that is their opinion.